Back, you're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, and let's get to know Joe Masciangelo, who happens to be the COO of an organization called Starlite. What is Starlite? What are you guys doing, Joe?
Starlite does lighting, audio, and video for live events, systems installs, casinos, performing arts centers, stadiums, things of that nature.
Gotcha. And how'd you get a job with this company?
I used to run equipment from them when I was a kid, and I just kept calling and harassing them until they hired me.
Gotcha. Where are you from? How many brothers and sisters? Where are you in the pecking order?
I'm from Blackwood, New Jersey, South Jersey, outside of Philadelphia. I have a younger sister, 3 years younger than me, and an older half-brother, 9 years older than me.
Gotcha. What were you doing 8 to 14 years old? What kind of stuff were you doing 8 to 14?
A little bit of playing in the neighborhood with the kids, but a lot of playing in the band. I played an instrument in the band. I ended up helping my dad fix things around the house, and my big thing was that I joined a summer theater program and was building scenery and doing lighting and AV.
Gotcha. Andrew, want to give me a hand, please?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. So how old were you when you really kind of got AV into your blood? Like, what piqued your interest?
I was like 12, 13 years old, and I started doing that summer theater program, and I was like, what's this lighting about? What's this audio about?
Mm-hmm.
And what was it about it that really kind of drew you and kept you in the industry now for decades?
I like working behind the scenes and kind of being the glue that keeps things together, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Jody?
Joe, you grew up building, fixing things with your dad, theater, AV, so on. Now you're COO of Starlite. How does that early experience serve you today?
Listen, you're always encountering problems, right? Like things don't always go your way. So having to pivot and figure out how to work through something and find a solution quickly completely applies to what I do today.
Mm-hmm. Rory?
Yeah, Joe. So you mentioned early on you were in the band. So when you look back on that experience, what did music teach you about discipline, preparation, and playing your part within a larger group?
Being in the band is all about working together on a team. So practicing and working hard and doing something over and over again until you get it right.
And how does that show up for you in the way that you lead the business today?
Everything's about working on a team, right? So working with different people, different personalities, and figuring out how to get people to communicate with one another.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Jim, you want to give me a hand, please?
Sure. Joe, when you're building sets in high school, you didn't always have unlimited budgets or resources. What did those experiences teach you about creativity and problem solving?
You got to work with what you have and, figure out how to make it work.
That's what it sounds like. Between helping your dad fix things, playing in the band, and constructing scenery for productions, you always seem to be drawn to making things work, it sounds. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
How does that same instinct show up in the way you lead the organization today?
I think in my role, I have learned to do so many different things. I never thought that I was going to have to know what to do. And you just encounter a problem and you just have to learn how to do it, right? I know more about insurance and all kinds of other things I never thought that I wanted to know just because we encountered a problem and had to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're a builder and a systems thinker. Isn't that exactly what a COO is?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh. Matthew?
So you were busy as a kid fixing stuff with your dad. What's the most memorable project that you did with him? Why was it memorable, and what'd you learn?
I remember when we changed the kitchen cabinets out and we pulled them out and tried to put the new ones in there. What we realized is nothing in the house is square and nothing really quite fit the way it was supposed to.
So what did you learn from that?
Problem solving, right? How are we going to make this work?
How did your dad react to that? There he is taking apart your mother's kitchen cabinets, probably pissing her off, and it doesn't line up. What did he do, and what did she do?
My dad is a very disciplined guy, but also very, very calm and works through situations very methodically. So it was just like, okay, what are we going to do? Let's try this, put it in there, see, make it work, and move on.
And how do you keep that calm when it's not just the cabinets in the kitchen, but it's your business, your livelihood on which your customers and your entire team are depending?
I think that experience, as well as the experience of working in the theater, all plays into that. You have to kind of say, this has to be done at this point, and we got to make a decision, and you can't get hung up on it, and realize that getting hung up on the emotions of it isn't going to solve the problem. You just got to focus on the problem at hand and move on.
And what was mom actually doing while you guys were tearing the cabinets apart? Tell me about mom. What do you get from her that you bring to work?
I think that she largely stayed out of the way when we were pulling the cabinets apart, but I think what I bring to business from my mom is that she's a very emotional, compassionate person, which helps me with dealing with people.
Wait. You're the guy who's doing the scenery behind the scenes, not dealing with the people, not out in front of the people. What are you talking about?
I mean, people are a part of everything that you do, right? So getting people to see each other's perspectives and work well together, work on a team, and then that compassion that goes into that is part of every organization, and that's really important.
So I'm curious, when you're building the set, you're behind the scenes, you're doing all that. Do you actually go out and watch the show?
Not sometimes.
But that's not like, you don't need to do that. Explain to me why you don't need to go out and see the show.
Because you've already done it. You're building it. You're keeping the glue together. You're the behind the scenes guy, right? Like I'm not there to get the recognition like the actors. I'm there to make sure that they look good.
Mm-hmm. Rory?
Yeah, Joe, in the green room, you mentioned that you changed your major 4 times in college. What were you searching for at that point in your life, and how did that process help you lead to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So when I went to college, I wanted to go for technical theater. My parents were like, you got to go for something that's going to make you money. So I went for computer science. I didn't like that. I switched a couple other majors, communications, and then I ended up on business, not really sure what I was going to do with it. And I found a way. I found an internship in this industry, which let me to combine business with my interest in lighting and AV and theater and all that stuff, which is really how I ended up here.
So when you're working on sets, do you set up lighting and it works the first time, or do you have to tinker with it and continue changing?
Nothing ever works right the first time. You got to go up there, get on the ladder, fix it, change it, try to get it to be perfect and as best you can.
What does that say about your personality that you don't just settle?
You just got to keep working at something until you get it to be the way you want it to, right? I'm very persistent.
Mm-hmm.
And persistence has helped in business?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So it seems to me that experience you had as a young kid with theater really was the front door to your career nowadays?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And theater is really a wrap of a whole mess of a bunch of different interests. You really love diversity. You love integrating a ton of different stuff, including the whole art of managing people into who you are nowadays. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. It's all come together.
Uh-huh. So, but I guess the good thing about your job, because you're the COO, you get to work from 9 to 5. You don't have to work early or later or weekends or stuff like that, right?
Well, on a good day, yes, but it doesn't usually always work out that way.
Uh-huh. So your nature is really to put the pedal to the metal. It's really trying to get stuff to work. The team you've got, you mentioned you're about 50 people.
Yeah.
Any of them have been there a long time?
So many of our employees have been with us for a really long time. I've been with the company almost 22 years.
Why?
Just really enjoy what I do and doing it with the people that I do it with.
Uh-huh. Do you do a lot of traveling for your job?
I do not.
Uh-huh. And what geographic coverage is there for the facilities that you help?
Yes, our company is located in Morristown, South Jersey, but the majority of our clients and jobs are in the Philadelphia regional area. So, Philly, Atlantic City, New York. But, even some of our jobs will travel further than that to different parts of the country.
Mm-hmm. So an early indicator of who you are was with that AV stuff. But you also mentioned you were in a band. Yeah. What was your role in that band? What's that have to do with who you are now?
I played the trumpet in the band.
Yeah. Yeah, were you the one that was organizing the band or booking the band, or were you just going along with everybody?
I wasn't. At that point, I was just a guy playing the trumpet.
So this thing about you organizing everybody with these diverse interests, that emerged over the course of time, huh?
Yeah. When I first started working for this company, I was just a salesperson, and I started taking on more and more. As you're a small company, it's like, well, the printer's broken, and all of a sudden you become the IT guy, and then this isn't working, and then I kind of just moved up, and then dealing with people and all of that just kind of wrapped into it as things went on.
Yeah, it was an evolution, just like what happened with you switching majors in college. You finally found what you wanted. And as Rory pointed out earlier, boy, you're persistent. What's the website address of this organization?
It's starlite.com, Starlite.
We've been speaking with Joe Masciangelo here on Executive Leaders Radio, COO of Starlite. Matthew, could you give us a rundown of who we've had on the air today, please?
We started off today, Herb, with Michael Simpson, who's the managing partner of Brinker Simpson and Company. Then we had Ryan Eddington, the CEO of Allfill. We spoke with Andrew Berg, the managing partner of Berg Advisors. And just now we wrapped up the show with Joe Masciangelo, who's the COO of Starlite.
I would like to thank my co-hosts, including Roy O'Hara Osperity, Jody Pillard Weidenhammer, Andrew Plumley Wisfus Bank, Matthew Shapiro Obermeyer, and Jim Wilson Newmark for giving me a hand structuring the questions. I'll be providing our listening audience an educational and entertaining show. I'd like to thank our listening audience for listening. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a radio show. Don't forget to visit our website, executiveleadersradio.com, to learn more about our executive leaders. It's executiveleadersradio.com. Thank you for joining us today and have a nice day. Bye-bye.